Boom, hey internets. Fashion word vocabulary and definitions and terms we use in apparel development, and this is part 2. I'm Jon Phenom, the clothing brand mentor. Been working in apparel development for over 24 years at the time that this is post-dating, and my last several jobs I was a director of some sort, like creative director or brand director. Now, take note, this is part 2. Part 1 looks like this. And there's gonna be a link to that video below if you haven't seen it. I would highly suggest you watch it either before this or after this video. Also, there's links to our article on CBA, which has additional visuals just like the video. Okay, number 1, let's start with the word vendor. A vendor is the manufacturer who produces your product. For example, your t-shirt vendor might be the company that does your screen printing for your t-shirts and your fleece. For cut and sew products, you might have a separate vendor for, say, jackets versus denim. Consignment, we're going back to some sales terms. So not as relevant today, but important to know. Consignment comes from sales. When a brick and mortar shop or retail does not put in an official order with you, if it's a situation where you're convincing them to carry your product, consignment is an arrangement where they don't give you any upfront money for that product. They're giving you space in their store. And if your product moves or sells, then they're gonna pay you later. That arrangement is called consignment. Let me just say that if you're a new brand right now, I would be selling online and going direct to customer. Number 1, because it's better margins. And number 2, you get to keep the contact information of who the people are that are buying your initial product. But maybe you have a dream shop to put your stuff in and they give you a shot, but the only way they're gonna give you a shot is by consignment. Plastisol, okay, we're talking about screen printing. So Plastisol is the most commonly used ink on your designs when you're screen printing. It's very viscous ink. It's almost the consistency of like toothpaste. Other applications for screen printing would be like water-based or discharge, but by and large, I would say like maybe 90% of your prints are done with Plastisol ink. Okay, printables. Printables are referring to any garments that you're having screen printed. So it can include t-shirts, tank tops, crew necks, pocket tees. It could be fleece like hoodies and crews. It can be fleece shorts. It can be a full sweatsuit. So anything that's getting printed on can be printables. And also I've heard some companies refer to that grouping as their soft goods. However, soft goods can also have a category that's done with cut and sew, but again, it just depends on how your company or how your specific niche of the industry uses those terms, as long as you're savvy to it. Flocking. Flocking is a printing technique where there's an actual texture to the lettering or the artwork where it sort of feels like a suede. It's kind of an intricate process and it's not as common as, say, screen printing with Plastisol ink, but you could definitely see this used on fleece sweaters and hoodies and even just t-shirts. It's a decoration technique that adds a lot of value. A sonic weld. So a sonic weld is literally a metal mold that you'll use for specific artwork, whether it's a logo or lettering, and it can be for something big like across the chest of a sweater, or it could be small for like a label. Raised embroidery or 3D embroidery. These two are put together because people use both of these terms for the same thing. And just how it sounds, the most common application of this, and you guys have seen it, is on a baseball cap. Whether it's a snapback or fitted, all of you have seen a baseball cap that has a city logo. So whether it's baseball or football or your own high school team, 3D embroidery is when the thread is literally raised from the substrate or the surface just a little bit. So it literally looks and is 3D. So versus regular embroidery, that would be flat embroidery. Chenille is almost like a carpet of thread, and you've seen this before. The best example I could give is like your varsity letter on a varsity jacket. That sort of texture that you've seen there, that is chenille. And of course, we use this a lot in hats as well, and it can be used in many other applications. It has a great tactile feel. Cable knit, we are talking about a specific weave, and this could be with thread or yarn, and you've seen a cable knit before, either on a sweater or definitely on a beanie. Applique. Applique is any kind of fabric that is cut and sewn onto the main substrate or the self of a garment. As an example, back in the days on a football jersey, Usually the only thing you would use is for the number, there'd be tackle twill and it would be appliqued onto the jersey. But appliques in fashion and apparel can be used in a number of different examples. And vector. Vector is referring to graphic design artwork. So it's artwork that's created from a vector program versus a pixel program like Photoshop. Vector programs include Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW and anything along that family. And one of the first things you might create as a vector artwork is your logo. Hope that helps. Again, I have links down below to show you other pictures of what we're talking about here that lead to CBA. Watch our part 1 if you didn't see it. And if you have other words you need the definition of or you want me to explain in context, please drop it all down below with any other questions you have for your clothing brand, or you can email me here. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.